or 15? Okay, we'll look at the back too. You can tell me in the back. So number 15, I want you to think about that. What answers how much you'd be getting paid? And one of the most common answers, I'll let people think it's D. Do you realize if you got paid this amount, you're not even getting paid $1 an hour? Now that would be pretty tough. If you've worked for 8 hours and you earned $64 and you tell me like 8 divided by 64, that's like 1/8. That's like 0.125. That's like you're making 13 cents an hour. This doesn't make any sense, right? You can't be getting paid that. So it definitely can't be this one. If I look at C, if I was going to solve C, what would you do to solve C? You would multiply on both sides by 8. Can we be getting paid that much money, 8 times 64? An hour? No, that doesn't make sense either. That's huge, right? Can't be this one. So now I'm looking at these two. If I did A, isn't A the same as D?
Pretty much.
Because I divide by 64, so it can't be A, and yes, it's 8 times the hours you work equals $64. And this you would figure out to give you $8 an hour, right? That's how much we're making. Most of you could have done it by just taking 64 here and dividing it by 8. They just want you to write an equation for it, okay? In 16 to 18, it says, describe what is the inverse operation to undo this. So if I wanted to undo multiplying by 9, Maria, I would do what? I would divide by 9. That's it. It's that simple. Not a problem. I had a couple other people ask on this one. If it says the opposite of adding negative 11, I could put adding what? I could put add 11. I had someone say, but then you'd really be subtracting negative 11. But remember, this looks like this. Subtracting negative 11, that is the same as this. This would be the better answer. Okay? All right. So looking at the back, and on the back I asked you to do the odds, and I really feel that number 31 was a poor problem. Are you having to write an equation for 31? No, you just say, oh, it's, and here is what on the last quiz, when I asked some of you to write a verbal model, I just want you to do this verbal model with me, even if you solve the problem. The verbal model would have been, you have the cost per ticket, right? The cost per ticket times the number of tickets is going to be equal to the total price, right? That'd be the verbal model. So what I had some of you do on that last quiz, you told me something like 32 times 5 is equal to X. Well, yes, that's true, but it doesn't represent this situation. So when you're asked to do a verbal model, and we're doing one for this, I agree. This one was a really poor problem on their part. $32 a ticket times 5, and that's going to equal our total price, X. And you would have just multiplied those to get that. It was not an undo or inverse operation at all. So, again, I thought it was kind of a poor problem. Micah, which one? Any other ones? Yeah. No, you didn't have to do that. You just would have solved it. I just want you to make sure that when they ask that, that's what you know I'm looking for. Maria, which one?
On 29, is the negative X, like, is it negative 9 on the third?
That's a good question, 29, with that negative A. I would recommend anytime you have this, because this is like a negative 1, let's rewrite the problem and put 27 is equal to A. And if I move the negative to the bottom, I'm going to put negative 4.3. Okay? Now, the reason I want to do that is because if, at the end, if I would have multiplied by 4.3.
Yeah, that's a different problem. That's a different problem.
Oh, yeah, it's 917, is that what it is?
9.
Oh, yeah.
27 equals negative X divided by 913.
By 913.
No, not.
Okay, it's really hard to read if it's 9.13 or 9.1, so we'll leave it like this. Okay, so if I'm looking at this problem, I'm going to still have you rewrite it as 27 is equal to x over a negative 913. And I think when I put my answers up, I showed that we would multiply on both sides by a negative 913. Did anyone take a look at the daily planner, the answers?
No. Yeah.
So when you're looking on the daily planner, okay, on the daily planner, it says right up here, answers to C5, okay? So this was C5, and then it says answer C5, and so you can put that up. Today I'm not going to put those up, but if we were looking at that, okay? All right, so this was the last one in the notes that we didn't do. And we are going to take a break on the C6, which is inequalities. And I just want to look at this one because, again, this is kind of like when we're doing that verbal model. So, don't work on the C6. Don't go ahead and look at that. We're going to do that in just do that Thursday. You know, I don't know that our test is going to be next Tuesday now because we're pushing everything back a day. So it's probably going to be after Thanksgiving, which is good and bad. So. Next week you don't have school. Thursday is Thanksgiving. When you give thanks for all the good things in your life. So, this is our verbal model. 3 people share the cost of a pizza. The total cost is $14.67. Write and solve an equation for each person's cost. Now, I agree, you could probably do this without writing a verbal model. But one of our standards is, can you write an equation? And we have to start with simple ones, because if I started with something really super complex, some of you would really struggle with that. So let's put in total cost equals the number of people. Do we know what that is? Yes, it's right up here. 3 people are sharing the pizza. Times, what are we looking at that last part? The cost. Each person, how much they have to pay. So the total cost, number of people, and each person's cost. What do we know in this case? We know $14.67 is the total. We know there's 3 people, and we don't know how much each person is paying. That's what we're going to be figuring out, right? To do that, we have 3 times C, right, because it was written next to it. So in order to solve for that, we are simply going to divide both sides by 3. So we're taking 14.67 and use your calculator and divide by 3. And 3C divided by 3. So that when we look at that, please put that in your calculator if you will. Some of you might be able to do it in your head as you're writing it out. $4.89. And I will have students say to me, Mrs. Thompson, I could have just done this problem and put 14.67 divided by 3 is equal to C, each person's cost. I agree. What I need you to do is to practice writing like the verbal models. And if you were going to do this verbal model, you would have said the total cost divided by the number of people equals each person's. That would be the verbal model for this. I could use that. But these 2 things have to go together. So that's why if you write it out like this, you got to do this and then show me that division, okay? I know some of you are struggling with the showing your work on your on that worksheet. And the thing that you were struggling with probably more than anything was not so much showing the work. Like, you know how to do the multiplication and division. You just are like, I don't get what you need me to do. And the reason that I need you to look at how you are solving this with the inverse operations is because our problems are going to get so ugly in the next unit. And that you're going to have distributive property and parentheses, and you're going to have adding like terms, and you're going to have all this stuff built into these equations, okay? That's where we're going with our pre-algebra unit to get you ready for Algebra 1. And some of you are going to go, yeah, no problem. And others of you are going to go, I have no clue.
Algebra's harder than pre-algebra.
It is.
Oh my god. It's clear.
Yes. Just take it. Just decide. See if something's coming. I know this one is coming.
This is ugly.
I know they are. Alright. So, on a separate sheet of notebook paper. You do not have your own notebook paper. I have notebook paper. I would prefer if you have your own to take it out.
We can
Partly, and like terms. Got some paper?
yes.
Got paper?
No, I don't. That'd be a nice thing to have.
Put your name on the top of the worksheet, please. Now, the rest of the time is you working, okay? You can work. You're going to find the answers on this as you do it. But what do I need you to write down on your paper? I need you to actually write the exact problem. Now, we're going to start, and we're going to kind of do that first column. And if you want to do, like, the bonus, I would have you do, actually we'll do like the first 4 here, and then we'll do like the last ones over here. So if you're looking at this, we're going to do A through F here, and then we're going to go over here and do S to X, okay? Now, that's what you have to have done on this side of the worksheet, okay? If you decide to do more, so A through F, put down, S through X. You must have that completed, okay? Like tomorrow, because you guys will be coming back after the play, we will probably be here for maybe, I don't know if it will be 20 minutes, it will be the whole class period, they were not sure yet. But as we walk back from North, the email that we got was students will go to their 8th hour class, which means you're coming here,
Dang it.
okay? So, I know, I thought we wouldn't have class either.
Like, no math.
I know. So,
There ain't no homework.
so, as I'm looking at this, let's write this problem exactly on your paper. There is no equal sign in it, right? So, on your paper, I'm going to look at 5x minus 7 times. So, on your paper, you're going to put worksheet page, what is our page number that we're looking at? 188. So, worksheet page 188, then it has your name, okay? And you have written down letter A, and you put down 5x minus 7 times 2 minus 4x. And I'm going to ask that instead of doing the work going across, you show your work going down. Vertical. Vertical. I'm all about vertical. Vertical makes sense mathematically to me when we get to the super hard questions in our next unit. So you're going to show your work going down. So we're not doing anything with this 5x, but we hate subtraction. We are changing this to plus a negative plus a negative. You are then distributing. And on this worksheet for the first column, that A through F, I need to see your work distributed. Meaning, I want to see negative 7 times 2. Plus, what should I be putting next?
4x?
No. Negative 7 times 4x. I'm writing down 5x. Okay, this way. I am going to put down a plus. What did I get when I multiply? Negative 14. And back here when I multiply, I'm going to have a
28.
negative 28x. I now have like terms. Yes.
You said something wrong, like, isn't it supposed to be negative 7 times negative 4, because we changed it to a negative 4?
Oh yeah.
This is
Mm.
plus negative 4.
Nice catch.
So it'd be
Make that negative.
just 28.
So positive 28. Okay.
You meant to do that.
So we want to now add my like terms. It's all about vertical. My like terms are 5 and 28 with the x's. 5 and 28 are the coefficients of the x. 5 plus 28 gives me 33 x plus negative 14. So when I'm looking at my worksheet, 33x plus negative 14. Oh, they don't have plus and negative, but they have this. None. Which makes sense. Did you hear about the? And now you're gonna. So the weird part is you're gonna have the first part of it and the second part. Can you, for bonus, do the middle part? Yes. The thing is look at how complicated like this gets. They're not that much harder, but you have to distribute first and then add your like terms. So on this one, you have the first one and then that second half, okay? I want you to just turn the worksheet over.
That looks a lot easier.
There's no distributing back here, right? There's like terms. So I believe, again, 17 questions is way too many. Okay? And we probably will check this tomorrow, but we won't hand it in until Thursday. Okay? And by the way, Mr. Seville is your sub on Thursday, so you'll get to experience Mr. Seville, because I'm going to be gone on Thursday. So, you like it? You don't know? I hope so. I would think you'll like it. Alright, so we want to look at this question number 1. So when we do this problem, okay, what you're going to do is I need you to do every other one here. Okay? So we're going to say the odds.
Oh, can we do the evens instead?
I don't care if you do odds or evens, really. It doesn't matter to me. Just do half of them. But do every other one. Okay? So, if again, like on the front of it, just like on the back here, if you want to do all of them for bonus, we will hand it in Thursday. You could, okay? So, we look at number 1, and we have 6x squared minus 2x plus 5x minus 3. One of my hints is as you're looking at these problems is, okay, the x squareds are going to be circled. I might underline the x terms and then put a box around my constants. I can only add the ones that have the same like shapes, right? So I have nothing else that goes with the 6x squared in this one, right? So when I write my answer, it's going to be 6x squared. Then I'm going to add my like terms, which are my x's. And I have a negative 2x and a positive 5x. What is negative 2 plus 5?
3.
Positive 3. So I'm going to have a plus 3x. And then I have this minus 3, and I don't have any other constant terms, right? So I put minus 3. This is my answer. I can't combine any of those, right? They are not like terms. I can't combine x squareds with x's with numbers. So I go over here, and I find 6x squared plus 3x minus 3 is L. And down below on my worksheet, I put 1 was L, right? Are you going to get all of them if you do every other answer? No. But I should be able to see how you are doing on this. And again, you might start this right on this paper, and you get down to number 7, and there's not enough room for you. Do it on your notebook paper. But my hint is, when I look at number 7, I might put circles around my x terms, right? I might change my subtraction to add the opposite so that I don't make any mistakes. So if I'm circling all my x's, and then I put boxes around my x squareds, okay, I can only combine the X squares and I can only combine the circle ones together, right? I cannot add, it's kind of like me saying, I have these calculators and these scissors up here, and you know what? I'd love to have this superpower to make scissors that will calculate, but I don't have that superpower, right? That would be cool. Or calculator said cut, but I don't have that superpower. I am not that kind of your superhero, right? I cannot do that, and neither can you. So when you do these problems, you can only add the ones that look alike, okay? Does that make sense? You're gonna have the rest of the time to work. I hope, my goal is that you really take some